Hey, Steve with Trimble. In this connected construction tip, we're going to show you how to send your as-built of your anchor bolts back to Connect, Tekla, SDS2, Advanced Steel, whatever CAD or BIM program you're doing. But the idea is to use a robotic total station like you see in the video I'm sharing now, which is from the Ironworker survey and layout. It's a great video going through how an RTS works and all the intricacies with that and how to take accurate measurements. But here you can see he's setting up the tripod, he's putting on the RTS, leveling it, and then he'll actually go through and do some surveying with his rod here. So that's really what you'll see. What I'm going to show you is, rather than measuring that point, how do I bring those anchor bolts back? Now, anchor bolts sometimes a very tight tolerance, 4 mils. A lot of the times there's a little more slush to it, but a lot of times they're placed incorrectly. Maybe they're playing yard darts when the concrete was wet and they just kind of threw them down. Maybe there's a design change, but you want to make sure that you as-built all your anchor bolts, and they'll typically get surveyed a couple times. But even if they are placed incorrectly, like you can see here, I have a couple. Let me actually turn on one other. A couple in this project where I can see the anchor bolt and then the as-built position. So here you can see we actually have a couple different models in here. We have a IFC model of the foundation and the anchor bolts actually coming up there in purple. We have the TFLX, which is the Trimble Field Link file that can be brought into Tekla or Field Points and any of those Autodesk solutions, which has all this information you can see in the data table. And if I select it, we can actually start to see that. And I can go into the, not IFC, we'll do the TFLX. We'll do the post. You can see I can actually sort. 227 of these have been laid out at 241. And I can even sort based on largest deviation, 1/2 inch, which would be this point. I also have a DWG created from FieldLink, the software running on that tablet to use the RTS. All this information is great. You may find one more helpful than the other, so I'm actually going to cover 3 of them. The DWG creation, which is the flag, and you can actually see the distance and points from where it's designed here versus where it's measured. The TFLX, which can then just be brought into Tekla for an as-built. And then we also do a deviation report. But if you can catch these offsets, hopefully what it allows you to do is change your base plate so that you don't need to drill an epoxy into an anchor bolt. You can just change the base plate of where that anchor bolt actually sits. So how do we do that? Typically it starts in FieldLink. You can see here are my anchor bolts measured, kind of like the Ironworkers video I was showing you before. That'll show you actually how to use the RTS. Once this information is here, I can just come in here and actually click on those points. But to save that TFLX back to Connect, I just go to More Projects, Manage, Save As, and then change this to Connect, which would be down here. To send that DWG, I go to More Projects, Export, and then select all the points I want to see or what I want to send, and then export that. That's my favorite visually because it shows you the as-built and design. Now the third way to actually share that is just go to Reports, Layout Deviation, and then this will give me a nice table and printout of where those anchor bolts are versus where they're designed. So all 3 very useful, and hopefully what it'll allow you to do is just update your fabrication so that you drill those base plates appropriately and you don't need to spend more time in the field and you can move on to the next project. If you have any more questions, please reach out to your nearest building point representative. If you do get really into it, the other thing we can do is scan and compare back to the anchor bolts with scan data. This is nice, but scan data is just going to take a little bit longer. If I actually zoom in here, you can start to see what that looks like. We'll change the color just so it looks a little bit nicer. I'd probably still recommend an RTS to do this workflow, but you can see I actually have some scan data there. Everything's popping in the right spot for anchor bolts, but you can see clicking the exact center point is a little bit more difficult, whereas having an etch and that prism is going to work out a little bit better. Like you see here, can be very precise. So please check out the Ironworkers video, reach out to your nearest building point representative with any questions, or check out some other videos we have. Thank you.